Protesters have taken to the streets outside the UN building demanding action on climate change, and you can watch the president's entire speech right here on Pix 11. It's scheduled to begin at 10 a.m. and we will be covering it.
Yes, we will. All right, 7:15, everybody. And we want to talk more about the daycare death of that one-year-old boy due to fentanyl exposure. A horrific story, horrifying to think something like this could even happen.
Police have made arrests, and there are indications the daycare center could have been a front for a major drug supplier.
So how can parents really protect their children when choosing daycare? New York City Councilmember Menin from the Upper East Side joining us now to discuss this.
Yeah, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me this morning.
I think we were all just completely blown away when we heard about this. But what was your reaction to this Bronx case? A daycare center that had recently passed inspection. How could that happen?
It's absolutely horrific. No parent should drop their child off in the morning and then not be able to pick that child up at night and have to bury that child. It's just unspeakable. And as a mother, to hear that this happened, it's just horrific, and we need to prevent any further tragedies from happening. We in the City Council have been laser-like focused on childcare. Earlier this year, we passed a package of legislation, 5 bills that I sponsored, to put us on a path towards universal childcare. Because right now we have childcare deserts all over the city, and on average, parents are paying $21,000 a year for childcare. So we have a lot of issues around this, but what happened here in the Bronx is absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, the deserts are one thing, right? And then you think as a parent, okay, this place was inspected and passed inspection as soon as September 6th. It must be safe for my child to go there. And we heard from the health commissioner yesterday who said that, you know, they're not really required to go ahead and look for drugs at a daycare. He wouldn't even think mentally to do that, but he said that might change. Would the city council be in charge of making that a law a reality?
Well, the state is the one that is licensing these child care centers, but then the state passes the inspections to the city. So it is a bit of a regulatory quagmire. One of the things that we can do and that we are doing is we have bills before the city council to expedite and improve the inspection process. There is a bill by one of my colleagues, Councilmember Abreu, to have better coordination between the Department of Education and the Department of Health, and actually to expedite the licensing and inspections. So one of the things, and you say, well, why would we want to expedite it when you have these tragedies? We want to make sure that the inspections are thorough, but oftentimes we have a year wait with the Department of Education for a lot of these licensing and inspections. And so that is what is causing a lot of these childcare centers to close. And then it's putting pressure on parents to actually be able to find affordable childcare. So we have to balance the need to expedite the inspection and licensing, but also to make sure it's thorough. One of the questions that I have here is, were the rooms inspected in this home? We have 7,000 at-home daycare facilities in the city. We need to make sure that when the inspectors are going out, they're looking at every single room in someone's home to make sure that the facility is safe and that something like this never happens again.
Are you aware of what their training is before they go into these daycares?
So the health commissioner mentioned at the press conference the other day that there are 50 different items that they are looking for in the inspection. We really need to look at what those items are to make sure that the list is thorough. And certainly this is something that the city council absolutely could have jurisdiction over. I used to be commissioner of the Department of Consumer Affairs. When Consumer Affairs is inspecting businesses for various items, obviously that checklist is something that falls under the agency's purview. The city council has jurisdiction over that. So 100% is something that we're going to have to look at.
Yeah, I mean, and those rooms that you're mentioning, for those who may not know, there were bedrooms in that facility, right? Those are the rooms you're referring to, were they inspected? But even if they didn't, the room where the children are, the fentanyl was found underneath the mats where the kids were napping, you know, and how do you see it and how do you scan for it? That's something to be discussed. But let's talk about universal daycare, because you mentioned it earlier. How close is that to becoming a reality?
Well, it's really exciting because earlier this year we passed my package of bills, and actually one of the bills creates this advisory board that's responsible for implementing universal childcare. The bill basically requires the city to get on a path towards universal childcare within 5 years.
And what does that mean, though,
board
for
is-
a parent? What does that mean?
Sure. So what that means is, for example, for parents that are 300 to 400% in terms of income under the poverty level. So, for example, for a family of four, that would be an income of $111,000. The city would fully subsidize childcare. But what my bill requires is that we're looking to expand it. We want to go beyond just that threshold. We want to be able to make childcare affordable for more families. We have a situation where 375,000 parents actually left the workforce last year because they couldn't afford childcare. So one parent had to stay home to care for the child. That's not acceptable, and that's not what we want. And there's actually an economic consequence to that. That meant that New York City lost $2 billion in economic revenue because parents are leaving the workforce. So the package of bills that we passed earlier basically are going to expand the qualifications of when the city will be required to provide a universal child care. So it basically positions New York City farther than any other city. And the other thing that my package of bills do is it provides a subsidy portal so parents can see what subsidies they can qualify for. It provides a portal of daycare facilities in the city, because I would hear from parents that they couldn't find affordable, accessible childcare in their neighborhood. So now there's a portal where they can find that. And it also provides subsidies to struggling childcare providers, because we've lost 1,000 childcare providers in recent years. So to get to the issue of the deserts, this actually gives providers more funding.
But I think parents are also very concerned, though, that this is actually going to happen, especially with the migrant crisis and the mayor asking for budget cuts. But Upper East Side City Councilwoman Julie Menin, thank you so much for your time this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.